Hey there, good evening. Welcome to Serenity Forever Sleep Stories. I'm Marie, and I'm so excited to be your guide tonight as we journey into a world of dreams and wonder. Tonight, we're snuggling up with one of the most beloved classic tales, the Golden Bird. In this story, we will discover how greed and envy can lead to unhappiness. Before we start, let us take a moment to relax and find comfort in the space that we are in here and now. Close your eyes and take a deep, slow breath, inhaling peace and serenity. Feel the tension melt away with each exhale, releasing any worry or stress. Imagine you're sinking into a warm, comforting bath. The water swirling around you like a gentle embrace. Feel the weight of your body easing into the tub, the water supporting you, cradling you in its warmth. Let your breath become your anchor, steady rhythm that guides you deeper into relaxation. Inhale slowly, filling your lungs with peace, and exhale, releasing any tension or worry. Feel the tension ease from your shoulders, your neck, your face. Let your muscles soften, becoming heavy and relaxed. Imagine the warmth of the water enveloping you, soothing your skin, melting away any tightness or discomfort. Feel the gentle pressure of the water against your body, a comforting weight that eases you into a state of deep relaxation. Let your mind wander through this peaceful scene. Notice the soft glow of the candlelight, inhaling its warmth and tranquility, and exhale, letting go of any remaining tension. Hear the gentle sound of water trickling from the faucet, a soothing melody that lulls you into a state of calm. If any thoughts come to mind, simply acknowledge them and let them drift away, like bubbles rising to the surface of the water. Return your focus to your breath, inhaling peace, exhaling stress, to the warmth of the bath, or to the peaceful image of the candlelight. Now, let's bring our attention to our body. Notice the sensations in your body, the feeling of your breath, inhaling peace, exhaling tension, the warmth of the water, the gentle pressure against your skin. Simply observe these sensations without judgment, allowing them to be. Continue to breathe deeply, feeling your body relax with each exhale. Let your mind wander through this peaceful scene, feeling a sense of calm and serenity wash over you. Now, as you settle into a cozy and comfortable state, let's start our story. The Brothers Grimm fairy stories. The Golden Bird. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, was a beautiful garden where a magnificent tree grew golden apples. Each night, as the apples ripened, one would mysteriously disappear. The king, perplexed and frustrated, ordered his gardener to keep a vigilant watch under the tree. The gardener's eldest son was the first to take on the task, but he succumbed to sleep around midnight, only to awaken to yet another missing apple. The second son fared no better, falling asleep and waking to find another apple gone. Finally, the youngest son volunteered to stand guard, despite his father's initial reluctance. As the clock struck midnight, a gentle rustling in the air heralded the arrival of a majestic golden bird. With grace and beauty, the bird began to peck at one of the golden apples. In a moment of courage, the gardener's son shot an arrow at the bird, causing it to drop a single golden feather before soaring away into the night. The next morning, the golden feather was presented to the king, who marveled at its beauty, while his council praised its worth. The king declared that he desired more than just a feather. He sought the entire golden bird, for its presence brought a sense of calm and wonder to the kingdom. The gardener's eldest son embarked on his journey with the intention of finding the golden bird with ease. As he ventured into the woods, a serene atmosphere enveloped him. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and the soft chirping of birds filled the air. Along the path, he encountered a wise fox, its eyes filled with knowing. "Do not be hasty," the fox spoke softly. "I have valuable advice to offer. I sense your quest for the golden bird. When evening falls, you will stumble upon a quaint village. There, 2 inns will greet you, each with its own allure. The one that may seem humble on the outside holds a hidden tranquility within. Rest your weary soul there, for true peace resides in simplicity." The son pondered the fox's words, his heart swaying with uncertainty. Dismissing the fox's wisdom, he aimed his bow, but the arrow missed its mark. With a flick of its tail, the fox vanished into the shadows of the woods. Night descended as the sun reached the village. Torn between the vibrant and filled with revelry and the modest, one exuding a quiet charm. Despite his doubts, he chose the opulent inn, enticed by its allure. Within its walls, laughter and merriment enveloped him, momentarily erasing thoughts of the golden bird and his homeland. The night passed in a blur, but a sense of calm eluded him, lost in the midst of extravagance. You must go straight on till you come to the castle where the horse stands in a stall. By his side will lie the groom fast asleep and snoring. Take away the horse quietly, but be sure to put the old leathern saddle upon him, and not the golden one that is close by it. Then the son sat down on the fox's tail, and away they went over stock and stone till their hair whistled in the wind. All went right, and the groom lay snoring with his hand upon the golden saddle. But when the son looked at the horse, he thought it a great pity to put the leathern saddle upon it. "I will give him the good one," said he. "I am sure he deserves it." As he took up the golden saddle, the groom awoke and cried out so loud that all the guards ran in and took him prisoner. And in the morning, he was again brought before the court to be judged, and was sentenced to die. But it was agreed that if he could bring thither the beautiful princess, he should live, and have the bird and the horse given him for his own. Then he went his way very sorrowful. But the old fox came and said, "Why did not you listen to me? If you had, you would have carried away both the bird and the horse. Yet will I once more give you counsel. Go straight on, and in the evening you will arrive at a castle. At 12 o'clock at night, the princess goes to the bathing house. Go up to her and give her a kiss, and she will let you lead her away. But take care you do not suffer her to go, and take leave of her father and mother." Then the fox stretched out his tail, and so away they went over stock and stone till their hair whistled again. As they came to the castle, all was as the fox had said, and at 12 o'clock the young man met the princess going to the bath, and gave her the kiss, and she agreed to run away with him, but begged with many tears that he would let her take leave of her father. At first he refused, but she wept still more and more, and fell at his feet, till at last he consented. But the moment she came to her father's house, the guards awoke, and he was taken prisoner again. Then he was brought before the king, and the king said, "You shall never have my daughter unless in 8 days you dig away the hill that stops the view from my window." Now this hill was so big that the whole world could not take it away. And when he had worked for 7 days, and had done very little, the fox came and said, "Lie down and go to sleep. I will work for you." And in the morning he awoke, and the hill was gone. So he went merrily to the king, and told him that now that it was removed, he must give him the princess. Then the king was obliged to keep his word, and away went the young man and the princess. And the fox came and said to him, "We will have all three, the princess, the horse, and the bird." "Ah," said the young man, "that would be a great thing, but how can you contrive it?" "If you will only listen," said the fox, "it can be done. When you come to the king and he asks for the beautiful princess, you must say, 'Here she is.' Then he will be very joyful, and you will mount the golden horse that they are to give you, and put out your hand to take leave of them, but shake hands with the princess last. Then lift her quickly onto the horse behind you, clap your spurs to his side, and gallop away as fast as you can." All went right. Then the fox said, "When you come to the castle where the bird is, I will stay with the princess at the door, and you will ride in and speak to the king. And when he sees that it is the right horse, he will bring out the bird. But you must sit still and say that you want to look at it to see whether it is the true golden bird. And when you get it into your hand, ride away." This, too, happened as the fox said. They carried off the bird. The princess mounted again, and they rode on to a great wood. Then the fox came and said, "Pray kill me, and cut off my head and my feet." But the young man refused to do it. So the fox said, "I will at any rate give you good counsel. Beware of two things. Ransom no one from the gallows, and sit down by the side of no river." Then away he went. "Well," thought the young man, "it is no hard matter to keep that advice." He rode on with the princess, till at last he came to the village where he had left his two brothers. And there he heard a great noise and uproar. And when he asked what was the matter, the people said, "Two men are going to be hanged." As he came nearer, he saw that the two men were his brothers, who had turned robbers. So he said, "Cannot they in any way be saved?" But the people said no, unless he would bestow all his money upon the rascals and buy their liberty. Then he did not stay to think about the matter, but paid what was asked, and his brothers were given up, and went on with them towards their home. And as they came to the wood where the fox first met them, it was so cool and pleasant that the two brothers said, "Let us sit down by the side of the river and rest a while, to eat and drink." So he said, "Yes," and forgot the fox's counsel, and sat down on the side of the river. And while he suspected nothing, they came behind and threw him down the bank, and took the princess, the horse, and the bird, and went home to the king their master, and said, "All this have we won by our labor." Then there was great rejoicing made, but the horse would not eat, the bird would not sing, and the princess wept. The youngest son fell to the bottom of the river's bed. Luckily, it was nearly dry, but his bones were almost broken, and the bank was so steep that he could find no way to get out. Then the old fox came once more, and scolded him for not following his advice. Otherwise, no evil would have befallen him. "Yet," said he, "I cannot leave you here, so lay hold of my tail and hold fast." Then he pulled him out of the river, and said to him, as he got upon the bank, "Your brothers have set watch to kill you, if they find you in the kingdom." So he dressed himself as a poor man, and came secretly to the king's court, and was scarcely within the doors when the horse began to eat, and the bird to sing, and the princess left off weeping. Then he went to the king, and told him all his brothers' roguery, and they were seized and punished, and he had the princess given to him again. And after the king's death, he was heir to his kingdom. A long while after, he went to walk one day in the wood, and the old fox met him, and besought him with tears in his eyes to kill him, and cut off his head and feet. And at last he did so, and in a moment the fox was changed into a man, and turned out to be the brother of the princess, who had been lost a great many years. Hans and luck. Some men are born to good luck. All they do or try to do comes right. All that falls to them is so much gain. All their geese are swans, all their cards are trumps. Toss them which way you will, they will always, like poor puss, alight upon their legs, and only move on so much the faster. The world may very likely not always think of them as they think of themselves. But what care they for the world? What can it know about the matter? One of these lucky beings was neighbor Hans. 7 long years. He had worked hard for his master. At last he said, "Master, my time is up. I must go home and see my poor mother once more. So pray pay me my wages and let me go." And the master said, "You have been a faithful and good servant, Hans, so your pay shall be handsome." Then he gave him a lump of silver as big as his head. Hans took out his pocket handkerchief, put the piece of silver into it, threw it over his shoulder, and jogged off on his road homewards. As he went lazily on, dragging one foot after another, a man came in sight, trotting gaily along on a capital horse. "Ah," said Hans aloud, "what a fine thing it is to ride on horseback. There he sits as easy and happy as if he was at home, in the chair by his fireside. He trips against no stones, save shoe leather, and gets on, he hardly knows how." Hans did not speak so softly, but the horseman heard it all, and said, "Well, friend, why do you go on foot then?" "Ah," said he, "I have this load to carry. To be sure it is silver, but it is so heavy that I can't hold up my head, and you must know it hurts my shoulders sadly. What do you say of making an exchange?" Said the horseman, "I will give you my horse, and you shall give me the silver, which will save you a great deal of trouble in carrying such a heavy load about with you." "With all my heart," said Hans, "but as you are so kind to me, I must tell you one thing. You will have a weary task to draw that silver about with you." However, the horseman got off, took the silver, helped Hans up, gave him the bridle into one hand and the whip into the other, and said, "When you want to go very fast, smack your lips loudly together and cry Jip." Hans was delighted as he sat on the horse, drew himself up, squared his elbows, turned out his toes, cracked his whip, and rode merrily off, 1 minute whistling a merry tune, and another singing, "No care and no sorrow, a fig for the morrow. We'll laugh and be merry. Sing me down dairy." After a time he thought he should like to go a little faster, so he smacked his lips and cried Jip. Away went the horse full gallop, and before Hans knew what he was about, he was thrown off and lay on his back by the roadside. His horse would have run off if a shepherd who was coming by, driving a cow, had not stopped it. Hans soon came to himself and got upon his legs again, sadly vexed, and said to the shepherd, "This riding is no joke. When a man has the luck to get upon a beast like this that stumbles and flings him off as if it would break his neck. However, I'm off now once for all. I like your cow now a great deal, better than the smart beast that played me this trick, and has spoiled my best coat, you see, in this pedal, which, by the by, smells not very like a nosegay. One can walk along at one's leisure behind that cow, keep good company, and have milk, butter, and cheese every day into the bargain. What would I give to have such a prize? Well, said the shepherd, if you are so fond of her, I will change my cow for your horse. I like to do good to my neighbors, even though I lose by it myself. Done, said Hans merrily. What a noble heart that good man has. Lottie. Then the shepherd jumped upon the horse, wished Hans and the cow good morning, and away he rode. Hans brushed his coat, wiped his face and hands, rested a while, and then drove off his cow quietly, and thought his bargain a very lucky one. If I have only a piece of bread, and I certainly shall always be able to get that, I can, whenever I like, eat my butter and cheese with it. And when I am thirsty, I can milk my cow and drink the milk. And what can I wish for more? When he came to an inn, he halted, ate up all his bread, and gave away his last penny for a glass of beer. When he had rested himself, he set off again, driving his cow towards his mother's village. But the heat grew greater as soon as noon came on, till at last, as he found himself on a wide heath that would take him more than an hour to cross, he began to be so hot and parched that his tongue clave to the roof of his mouth. I can find a cure for this, thought he. Now I will milk my cow and quench my thirst. So he tied her to the stump of a tree and held his leathern cap to milk into, but not a drop was to be had. Who would have thought that this cow, which was to bring him milk and butter and cheese, was all that time utterly dry? Hans had not thought of looking to that while he was trying his luck in milking, and managing the matter very clumsily. The uneasy beast began to think him very troublesome, and at last gave him such a kick on the head as knocked him down, and there he lay a long while senseless. Luckily a butcher soon came by, driving a pig in a wheelbarrow. What is the matter with you, my man? Said the butcher as he helped him up. Hans told him what had happened, how he was dry, and wanted to milk his cow, but found the cow was dry too. Then the butcher gave him a flask of ale, saying, "There, drink and refresh yourself. Your cow will give you no milk. Don't you see she is an old beast, good for nothing but the slaughterhouse?" Alas, alas, said Hans, who would have thought it? What a shame to take my horse and give me only a dry cow. If I kill her, what will she be good for? I hate cow beef. It is not tender enough for me. If it were a pig now like that fat gentleman you are driving along at his ease, one could do something with it. It would at any rate make sausages. Well, said the butcher, I don't like to say no. When one is asked to do a kind, neighborly thing, to please you I will change, and give you my fine fat pig for the cow. Heaven reward you for your kindness and self-denial, said Hans, as he gave the butcher the cow, and taking the pig off the wheelbarrow, drove it away, holding it by the string that was tied to its leg. So on he jogged, and all seemed now to go right with him. He had met with some misfortunes, to be sure, but he was now well repaid for all. How could it be otherwise with such a traveling companion as he had at last got? The next man he met was a countryman carrying a fine white goose. The countryman stopped to ask what was o'clock. This led to further chat, and Hans told him all his luck, how he had so many good bargains, and how all the world went gay and smiling with him. The countryman then began to tell his tale, and said he was going to take the goose to a christening. Feel, said he, how heavy it is, and yet it is only 8 weeks old. Whoever roasts and eats, it will find plenty of fat upon it. It has lived so well." "You're right," said Hans, as he weighed it in his hand. "But if you talk of fat, and white pig is no trifle." Meantime, the countryman began to look grave and shook his head. "Hark said he, my worthy friend, you seem a good sort of fellow, so I can't help doing you a kind turn. Your pig may get you into a scrape. In the village I just came from, the squire has had a pig stolen out of his sty. I was dreadfully afraid when I saw you that you had got the squire's pig. If you have, and they catch you, it will be a bad job for you. The least they will do will be to throw you into the horse pond. Can you swim?" Poor Hans was sadly frightened. "Good man," cried he, "pray get me out of this scrape. I know nothing of where the pig was either bred or born, but he may have been the squire's for aught I can tell. You know this country better than I do. Take my pig and give me the goose. I ought to have something into the bargain." Said the countryman, "Give a fat goose for a pig. Indeed, 'tis not everyone would do so much for you as that. However, I will not be hard upon you, as you are in trouble." Then he took the string in his hand and drove off the pig by a side path, while Hans went on the way homewards free from care. "After all," thought he, "that chap is pretty well taken in. I don't care whose pig it is, but wherever it came from, it has been a very good friend to me. I have much the best of the bargain. First there will be a capital roast, then the fat will find me in goose grease for 6 months, and then there are all the beautiful white feathers. I will put them into my pillow, and then I am sure I shall sleep soundly without rocking. How happy my mother will be. Talk of a pig, indeed, give me a fine fat goose." As he came to the next village, he saw a scissor grinder with his wheel, working and singing, "O'er hill and o'er dale, so happy I roam, work light and live well. All the world is my home, then who's so blithe, so merry as I?" Hans stood looking on for a while, and at last said, "You must be well off, Master Grinder. You seem so happy at your work." "Yes," said the other, "mine is a golden trade. A good grinder never puts his hand into his pocket without finding money in it. But where did you get that beautiful goose?" "I did not buy it. I gave a pig for it." "And where did you get the pig?" "I gave a cow for it." "And the cow?" "I gave a horse for it." "And the horse?" "I gave a lump of silver as big as my head for it." "And the silver?" "Oh, I worked hard for that 7 long years. You have thriven well in the world hitherto," said the grinder. "Now, if you could find money in your pocket whenever you put your hand in it, your fortune would be made." "Very true. But how is that to be managed?" "How? Why, you must turn grinder like myself," said the other. "You only want a grindstone. The rest will come of itself. Here is one that is but little the worse for wear. I would not ask more than the value of your goose for it. Will you buy?" "How can you ask?" said Hans. "I should be the happiest man in the world. If I could have money whenever I put my hand in my pocket, what could I want more? There's the goose." "Now," said the grinder, as he gave him a common rough stone that lay by his side, "this is a most capital stone. Do but work it well enough, and you can make an old nail cut with it." Hans took the stone and went his way with a light heart. His eyes sparkled for joy, and he said to himself, "Surely I must have been born in a lucky hour. Everything I could want or wish for comes of itself. People are so kind. They seem really to think I do them a favor in letting them make me rich and giving me good bargains. Meantime, he began to be tired and hungry too, for he had given away his last penny in his joy at getting the cow. At last he could go no farther, for the stone tired him sadly, and he dragged himself to the side of a river, that he might take a drink of water and rest a while. So he laid the stone carefully by his side on the bank, but as he stooped down to drink, he forgot it, pushed it a little, and down it rolled, plump into the stream. For a while he watched it sinking in the deep clear water, then sprang up and danced for joy, and again fell upon his knees and thanked heaven, with tears in his eyes, for its kindness in taking away his only plague, the ugly heavy stone. "How happy am I," cried he. "Nobody was ever so lucky as I." Then up he got with a light heart, free from all his troubles, and walked on till he reached his mother's house, and told her how very easy the road to good luck was.